Good evening. My name is Dr. Jennifer Cunningham Erves of Meharry Medical College. I'm here to present on behalf of our team, Messages and Messengers to Build COVID-19 Vaccine Confidence in Black Americans. Studies continue to show that COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy is disproportionately higher among Black Americans compared to white Americans. We know that strategic communication is necessary to increase confidence, especially in light of the mis- and disinformation, as well as the lack of information around COVID-19 and the vaccines. So in our work, we explore those determinants of vaccine hesitancy, but we also want to describe the development of a theory-based, culturally appropriate message library targeting concerns around COVID-19 vaccines. So when we look at this methods process, there's two things I want to highlight. Is one, the extensive process that was used to develop this library, but the degree of community engagement is really the highlight of this work. We developed a community academic partnership. We went through the literature. We had input from a community advisory panel that consists of college students, older adult, mid-level adult, physicians. All of these people were involved. Parents were involved in this process. We then pre-tested these messages through interviews where we also explored vaccine hesitancy, but also gained feedback on the messages we developed. We had content validation by experts in the field, and we also conducted a reading level assessment. So the themes were centered around three things when it came to the vaccine. We had vaccine development, vaccine safety, vaccine effectiveness. So just to highlight a couple of things that we have been seeing in literature to new lack of knowledge and trust in the research process, but also the vaccine development process specifically when it comes to vaccine safety, the long-term effects, the breakthrough infections and boosters that are needed. And then when it comes to vaccine effectiveness, infertility and blood clots. So how we actually developed this library, it was guided by two theories, or one theory, which was theory of reason action and the health belief model, but also the conceptual framework around developing culturally appropriate messaging by Dr. Matthew Kruder. And we took these three themes and created message subsets in those areas around the concerns that we found. And we ultimately ended up with 18 message subsets for adults and 17 message subsets for parents. When it came to the messengers that people identified out of these subsets, it was the national and local news that people wanted to hear from, social media, family member or friends who were actually knowledgeable in this area, and providers actually came up too, not as much as the others, but providers came up, and different types of providers people wanted to hear from. So here at the bottom, I want to just briefly highlight an example of a message. For example, we all hear about mRNA vaccines changing DNA. So some key message attributes here: discussing the years of mRNA existence and the role of mRNA in the body, explain the process of mRNA technology. What are those vaccines that use that technology, and the importance of vaccination over natural immunity? They also provided visuals here, and this falls under the culturally targeting strategy of evidential, peripheral, and linguistic as identified by Dr. Matthew Kruder. So in conclusion, what I really just want to highlight is that one size fits all approach will not work. People have different concerns when it comes to this vaccine. Culturally appropriate, theory-driven messaging is accepted among African Americans to address vaccine concerns. Science must be at the foundation of messaging, and we have to make it make sense. And also link people to articles if they want to read, because this came up in our interviews. And last, peer champions, diversity in providers, along with local and national news, could play a role in changing attitudes and ultimately influence uptake of the COVID-19 vaccine. Thank you.